your patience, and I know how today it's a tough day for each and every one of us. Today, the second session of the day is going to focus on youth volunteering initiatives and stories. So it's more like a experience sharing session where our trainers and speakers will share their experience with you, beautiful audience, and we'll get to listen to them, and you people will also have the opportunity to ask your questions. Inshallah, I think this session I will try to do justice to most of you. I know the first session I had to decline politely some of your questions because we're running out of time. So without further ado, like I said, this session will have to end by 4 p.m. So each speakers will have 20 minutes for their presentation, and we'll try to give more time for the Q&A session since it's a very interactive session. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our first speaker of today is our brother from Turkey. He has a bachelor's degree at the Department of Political Science and International Relations. He's currently studying that. He also did his exchange program at the University of Malaya. He has a huge experience in the volunteerism field, and he's currently working at a marketing and export agency here. And he happens to be the representative of the Red Crescent here in Turkey. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please let's welcome Mr. Akif Emre Aktas. Please, you have the floor. The time and place is all yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this lovely introduction. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sorry, I had to be very brief with your bow because I want to give you guys time to talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Actually, we are almost at the end of the Ramadan. Firstly, I would like to congratulate all of your Ramadan, and I would like to say that Ramadan Mubarak for all of you. Inshallah, today we are going to share our experiences to each other, and we will benefit from each other's. So without further, I would like to start my presentation because we do not have a lot of time. So let's start with the youth volunteering initiatives and stories. Let me share my screen. Okay. I guess you may see my screen, right?
Yes, we do. We do,
Okay.
Mr. Akif. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Today I would like to start from the youth volunteering initiatives. I mean, when I think about the volunteering initiatives, youth volunteering initiatives, the first thing that came to my mind is Turkish Red Crescent Youth, because I am part of this society. I am one of the founder of this organization. I've been voluntarily working for the Turkish Red Crescent Youth. So I thought that Turkish Red Crescent Youth might be the good case study, case example to speak about when we talking regarding the youth volunteering initiatives. So let me briefly speak about the history and story of our initiatives. What is the Turkish Red Crescent Youth? What we have done, the story which is stay in the background of this society, and then we will go through the some of our experiences which we have witnessed in the field. I hope the presentation will last 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I guess. So, Turkish Red Crescent Youth, or in Turkish we call Genç Kızılay, or we prefer to call Türk Kızılay Youth, which is the combination of Turkish and English, works in the field of youth, as you all know. And the Turkish Red Crescent has adopted human values and equipped with these values to create mass of mass of volunteers. I mean, when we speak about the volunteering, maybe because of what I'm doing, the first thing that comes to my mind is helping people with some values. I mean, without values, we have nothing. So we are trying to equip our volunteers with some values that I will speak also about those values. What we have to understand when we're talking about the values, especially in terms of volunteering. Um, Also contributing to the formation of self-confidence, which is very important, experience, uh, and qualified youth, enabling young people to participate in social responsibility areas through NGOs as like Turkish Red Crescent. So the aim actually here is to guarantee the future of Red Crescent. And when we found that organization, actually the president of Turkish Red Crescent, Mr. Kerem Kınık, said that, you are here as the future of the Red Crescent. We will give our seats to you, the people who experience some field uh, issues, I mean, equip themselves, etc. So also this is quite important to understand the youth initiatives, especially in terms of volunteering. So this is our story actually. So today we will be talking about some stories, but the first story that I would like to share, the story of Turkish Red Crescent Youth. I mean, I said that I am the founder of the Turkish, I am one of the founder of Turkish Red Crescent Youth, but as you can see, these photos are belongs to 1930s, 1940s, 50s, how it's possible. I'm not older than 70 or 80 years old, as you can see. Um, so the Our initiative started as a Kızılay Youth Institution, not as Turkish Red Crescent Youth, not as a youth organization which works on voluntary basis, but our organization, the youth institution, was working as a professional but for the youth. So it started its activities in 1933, first time. I mean, it's been 87 years. And in 1945, we extended our organizations. We opened the youth camps for the children. And in 2017, which is what we have done, the youth institution, the youth organizations, all gathered under the umbrella of Türk Kızılay Youth or Genç Kızılay. Now it's working on the volunteering basis. So this is this called Türk Kızılay Youth instead of the youth institution. So right now we have a one youth center. It's located in Ankara, but second is coming soon. I mean, in Istanbul. It's very close to Istanbul University. I mean, in a couple of weeks we will launch that second youth center. And we have today almost 60,000 volunteers in all around Turkey. This is our story, basically. So, for the youth volunteering initiatives, for the youth volunteers, especially who works in the field of humanity, in the fields of humanitarian, we have some principles to understand, especially for the RCRC movement, that, as we call Red Cross, Red Crescent movement. We have 7 fundamental principles that combined by humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. These are the must. These are the compulsory issues for all of our members, all of our volunteers as well. So what we understand from the humanity means to prevent and elevate human suffering. We cannot eliminate human suffering at all, because this is the world, and we will always face with some the human suffering. We will always face the challenge, but we may elevate, we may prevent human suffering. So this is humanity. When we come to impartiality, we shouldn't discriminate someone. We shouldn't separate someone from others. So this is also regarding the non-discrimination and proportionality. Neutrality also about retain credibility by not taking sides. We cannot choose any sides, especially in the conflicts. The independence, voluntary service, which is directly affect us, unity and universality. So I will share some stories with you, which I will link with those some of those principles, and then I will end the presentation, inshallah. Okay. Maybe some of you knew this guy. He's Mahmoud, and he's originally from Syria. He had to flee to Turkey because of the war happened in Syria, and right now he's living in Elazığ city of Turkey. And he was the one of the figure that during the Elazığ earthquake, maybe some of you don't know, on January, an earthquake occurred here in Turkey, in Elazığ, and the Mahmoud was the one of the hero, actually, in during the earthquake. So as I said, he's a volunteer, and he didn't separate anyone. He didn't discriminate anyone by involving the issues, and he saved this woman's life by digging the wrecks by his hands. So this is also one example about the why humanity is important and how we experienced humanity during the earthquake in Turkey. Thanks to Mahmoud. Let's go to the other stories. Okay. This is Abdulhamid, you may see here. And this is Shaza. These guys are volunteers, and they are studying in Çanakkale. Abdulhamid Mawagole, I don't know, maybe I couldn't pronounce properly, but he is from Uganda. And during this COVID-19 process, he is working in the field with our teams, and he's visiting the village and distributing some food packets. And he says that, this is his words, volunteering for a humanitarian charity and helping others gives me joy. This is his motivation, you know, the motivation is, you know, having some joy from this job. Shaza al-Masri, also, she is from Syria. She migrated from Syria to Turkey because of the war. And right now she is studying in Çanakkale. Also, she says that volunteering is very important to me because it adds meaning of life. I mean, her motivation is also about finding the meaning of life. So what we may understand from this point, the volunteering and our experiences might be different, and also our motivations might be different. You know, this is not something certain. This is not something definite issue. And this is the last thing that I would like to share. This is the real story, I mean, which I have witnessed. I would like to share with you, and then I will end my presentation, inshallah. Okay. Mr. Ahmed, may I ask a question to the volunteers? Am I allowed to do that?
Please, you are. Please, feel free.
Okay. I would like to hear some answers for my question. You all here volunteers, as far as I know, and probably you also have some experiences. For you, what is the top point of the volunteering? What is the peak of the volunteering for you? I would like to hear some couple answers, because I do not want to have a kind of monologue here. You know, it will be better to have a dialogue. So please let me know what is the peak of the volunteering for you. What is the highest level that we might reach? Okay. Contribution, passion and free will, love, pleasure, humanity, caring, empathy, being selfless, happiness. Okay, all those are good. Okay, Sundus Yusuf from Afghanistan. It's great. I will share experience from Afghanistan also. Sacrificing, empathy. Okay. For others will be. All right. Let me tell you a story. All is perfect. I mean, I can't say true or false. You know, all is true because impartiality. Thank you. Care, sympathy. All right. I will share a story which includes all of these. I guess. Not last year, 2 years ago, in 2018, we were in Kabul, Afghanistan, with our Turkish Crescent team to contribute Kurbani operation in Afghanistan. As you know, in Kurban, we sacrifice the cattle, some animals, in the name of God, in the name of Allah, and distribute them to the vulnerables, to the needy people. And when we were in Afghanistan, we have a vice president of Turkish Red Crescent, Mr. Ismail Turunç. He has been working for the humanitarian relief charities, humanitarian relief organizations, maybe for 30 or 40 years, maybe more. And he has visited over 100 countries in order to participate in humanitarian operations. So he said that when you go to Afghanistan, please visit an orphanage in Kabul. We said, okay, how we may find that location? He said, I'm just guessing, by the way, I don't remember properly, but he said, just find the central mosque and then you will see the traffic jam, turn left, go straight, and then turn right, and you will see the orphanage and find the manager of the orphanage as well. We said, okay, we found the orphanage. We brought some goods, some meats, and he is the manager of the orphanage. They welcomed us, and when we entered to the orphanage, we have shocked. You see the board right here. So there are some pictures, some photos pinned onto the board. We saw the pictures that belong to our vice president, the Ismail Hakkı Turunç. There are many photos of him here. So I thought that, by the way, at that time he was in Kenya to help other people. He is from Turkey. We are in Afghanistan and we saw his photos on the wall, on the board. in any orphanage in Afghanistan. So this is, I guess, the top point of the volunteering, because when we go upstairs, we saw the orphans. All of these orphans are praying for or making dua for him. I mean, this is what I experienced. You have no borders, you have no barriers, we have nothing. We need to have just wishes, and also we need to have some wills to help others. Then we may reach the top point. I mean, this is, of course, for me, the point of volunteering and humanity. I mean, I fulfilled my time already, but I also would like to share 2 websites for you to utilize. So I think you can see, isn't it? Okay, this is the page of the future RCRC. You may find some volunteer stories here. As you know, the RCRC means Red Cross, Red Crescent. There's a page here called Solferino Academy. As you know, the Solferino battle was the founder issue of the...
I give, apparently some of the students are mentioning that they can't see it.
Okay.
Kindly try to reshare your screen.
How is this right now? I think you can.
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay. As you can see, this is the futurercrc.com. You may find some volunteer stories here, especially the volunteers of the Red Cross, Red Crescent movement from all around the world. They are sharing their stories. Nowadays, especially, they are sharing the stories from COVID-19 process, because all around the world, especially volunteers in humanitarian organizations, are challenging with the COVID-19. I mean, it's both Arabic. I mean, you may find Portuguese, Italian, French, English, and other languages as well. You may look at that page, and you may find some different experiences, and you may benefit from here. Okay, and you may also find the strategy 2030. And second page that I would like to share with you is volunteeringresource.com. Also, this is a page that you may find a lot of things about volunteering projects, some resources about volunteering issues. I mean, you may also find some stories. I mean, you may see here, there are a lot of languages that you may find. I mean, from Chinese to Bahasa Malayu, from Zulu to Arabic. So this is also another page that I would like to share with you. Okay, my presentation is over. So I hope I didn't across the time. So thank you for listening, and I will give the speech to the Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akif. I thought you had a video that you wanted to share with us, or you're not sharing the video anymore?
I mean, I thought I don't have a time, so I still have, but
yes, I think the video
you wish I can.
It's for like 1 minute, so we can grant you 1 minute. There's no problem. Thank you.
Okay. This is the video. Let me explain the video, why I will share this video. This is the video that how we will keep our volunteers' motivation high. Last year, we visited Bosnia and Herzegovina with our volunteers. as you know, the Srebrenica massacre occurred in or happened in Bosnia, and we are visiting the Bosnia and Herzegovina with our volunteers to remember, to remind that massacre to the people. And last year also we were there. I would like to share its video. It is really important for our volunteers. I mean, um, I will show you something in the video. I mean, this forest is the the people were trying to survive, trying to save their lives from the soldiers, and they escaped. They ran away into this forest. Um, so, I mean, the last day we walked almost around 15 hours. It was 34 or 35 kilometers. I mean, it's really tough place to walk. These are, you see there's some clothes and some shoes. These clothes those clothes were belongs to the woman that tried to save themselves from the soldiers, and they thought that if soldiers will catch them, I'm so sorry to say that, but they scared because they will get raped, they will get tortured, and because of that, they hanged themselves to those trees. And still, you may see the clothes and shoes in the forest. This is me, by the way. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it was beneficial for you. Yeah, this is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akif Emre, for such a beautiful presentation. I think we were encountering some problems while you were sharing that video of yours, but listening to you, I could hear it had a little bit of sad ending, and also it's interesting. Thanks for sharing.
I may share the link also on the
Inshallah.
chat room.
That will be good for our participants. So thank you so much for sharing this experience of yours. Like I said, without further ado, I would like to move on to the next speaker of today. Um, she's from the United States of America. She is a U.S. Army active and reserves lieutenant colonel, occupies several positions at the Department of Defense. She is currently at the Department of State, where she occupies the position of Senior Policy Advisor in the Secretary's Office for Global Women Issues. She is the Foreign Affairs Officer on the status of women and girls for the Near East region. Her areas of expertise ranges from sexual assault prevention and response, policy making, women issues, training, leadership. The list is very long. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Miss Marcy Hudge. I hope I did pronounce the name very well. Miss
Yes,
March.
you did.
You
Thank
have
you
the
so
floor, please.
much.
Thank you so much, and welcome.
uh, so I don't know how I follow that presentation. That was amazing. Um, I'm gonna take a different approach with mine. I'm just gonna talk a little bit. I do want to open up the floor so me and my colleague can both answer questions back and forth. But I was asked to talk about my personal experiences volunteering. And obviously volunteering is just a huge part of our life in the U.S. And even specifically in the Black community in America. Um, so giving back has always been a part of my life. I don't remember a time that we didn't volunteer. My mother was a product of the civil rights movement here in the United States. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm from the South. And so she integrated a school. And one of the things that's kind of really embedded into you, if you have a parent of that generation, is that no matter how far you go, how high you go, that you will continue to give back. And so I've always found that to be really, really important and not only rewarding for the people that I'm serving, but also for myself, and in some ways, even sometimes a source of healing. Um, so I've been involved with quite a few organizations, like hard and fast since college. Um, and I'm going to kind of go through maybe those three major organizations I'm mostly involved in, but also just anytime anyone asks me to speak, to talk about my life experiences so that we can give young people a hope, young girls a hope. Specifically, I think it won't be any surprise that some of my volunteer work has centered around women and girls, given what I do for a living. But for one, I've been a member of a sorority. Not sure most of you know what that is, but it's like a sisterhood that most of us join in college. Yay! Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Um, and that organization has a really long history, over 100 years, just like my colleague was talking about the Red Crescent. And in our mission, public service is prioritized as part of our service to the community. And of course, no surprise there, given my background, I majored in political science. I got my master's degree in international relations. I've mostly focused on social action and international awareness and involvement. Our founders, the first thing they did, their first act of service was to march in the Women's Suffrage March. And so I've always taken that as kind of cues that, women's issues, social action is key and central to the kind of work that we try to do in the community to give back and get people involved. And then for like the last decade or so, I've been a member of an organization called the Junior League that basically focuses on promoting, the women that are part of the organization, but also making sure that we provide trained volunteers to the community we serve. And I've been on a variety of committees inside the league that help run the league, like strategic planning, kind of using some of those skills that I have from my day job. But also, as of recent, this past year, I was focused on Done in a Day, which actually puts us out into the community so people can actually see us and know that we're continuing to add value. And so that kind of looked a lot of different ways. Obviously, our committee has probably been hit the hardest because of COVID-19. It's not really safe to be outside. They don't even want us outside. We're still, at least in the DC metro area, on still a complete lockdown, even though both states, the larger parts of the states have been opened up, but our the immediate DC area has not yet. And so trying to come up with creative ways to still give back or donate so that people know that we're still here, and trying to figure out how we can get back out to help them. beyond, but we still definitely have like Feeding America, those kind of like essential things like HA, like my colleague was talking about. Those things are continuing to happen because obviously we have a lot of people out of work and need food to eat. So those type of things are going on. But some of the other things, because our league is focused on literacy, because though we live in a pretty affluent area, we still have a community that is very underserved. A lot of those young people look like me. And so I know it's important for them to see themselves so that they know that there is a way out if they, work hard for it. And then last but not least, my last thing that I kind of just randomly fell into, kind of happened through my job. I went to this international day, Women's Day event when I first started at the State Department, and they were awarding this organization called Dreamwakers, founded by a former State Department employee who found this organization because it's really hard because things have just gotten so busy in the US and in the West. It's really hard to visit classrooms like we used to for like career day and things like that. And so they came up with this cool idea where you just Skype into people's classrooms so we can expose not only students in urban areas, but also rural areas to different careers that maybe they would not have thought of. And so last year I actually won their first Speaker of the Year award, probably mostly because I cry a lot, because students are hard. They actually ask some really good and hard questions. I suspect I'm gonna get some really good and hard questions today as well. But just talking about, just different. If it's my civilian life, was I think one of my first calls, I was talking about the 62 million girls in the world who can't get to school. And the young people after that was like, I want to know more about those girls. And so I think that's really important because we know that this younger we start talking about gender equality and all these kinds of things, the better off we are in the long term and the better off we are for our long-term future, which is also why I think it's really important to give back and to be talking to these young people as much as I can. And then sometimes they ask a lot about, my military experience. And obviously, that can be a sensitive subject, given how many people have been lost in the past 20 years since, the height of our conflicts began. And so that's I think that's all I really wanted to say. That's kind of been what I've been doing. I think I kind of gravitate. So when I think about, I guess what I would tell people to do is like, what's important to you? Like some people want to do things that are totally different from their day job. I'm sort of kind of like that. I don't want anything too close, but obviously, anything having to do with girls, social action, those type of things. I know that they're important. I have the time, I have the energy. It's important for people to see us out there giving back, modeling behavior, especially if they're not seeing that in their own homes. And so I think that's why it's important, and especially what if you don't have any money? Your time is money, but you can always give your time, even if you don't have, 10% or whatever to give out of your, paycheck. So that concludes my remarks, and I look forward to the questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marcy. That was very beautiful of you to say, sharing your experience, how you evolved back from college, and how you mentioned that your mother is a product of the civil rights movement, which many of us do follow, as Africans and even as humans, we are very interested in what happened in the United States of America with how Black people had to struggle for their freedom and everything. And you're so passionate about giving back, which I think today will make Today's session very interesting because the students and participants have a lot of questions. And yeah, for the sorority, some of us do know about it because we had few families of ours who are also in the US, and they do tell us about all the activities. And I know the sisterhood is really, the bond is very, very strong within you people over there. So without further ado, since we're gonna end this session exactly at 4, so we have at least 35 minutes for the Q&A session. So I'm already seeing some hands, so I would like to give the floor, the first question to Miss S. Naira Salem from Philippines. Please, you have the floor. Please be specific, concise. Thank you so much.
My question goes to Ms. Mercy Hodge. Thank you so much for sharing your story. That's really inspiring and motivating. Um, Given that you are very involved in a lot of volunteering initiatives, what's your best tip for young volunteers like us in terms of time management? Because we also we will be engaged in works and family, for example, in the future, but we still want to give back to community. So what's your best tip in time management? Thank you.
I won't even lie. That has, especially as I've grown in my career, it's been a lot. I'm not gonna lie. This coming year, I'm going to switch over to sustainerhood with one of my organizations. So I'll still be able to, give back a little bit. I can volunteer when I want to, instead of, because we have requirements. So you actually have to do all these things to have a good league year. And so I'm going to step back a little bit from that. And make some more room for my family. And then Delta, that's a lifetime commitment, sorority life. So I can't go anywhere from that for the duration. And then Dreamwakers, I'm not gonna lie, like you're gonna put in extra time. You're gonna be at work a little later, but I think it's really important for my nieces and nephews, and any children I might have to see me giving back, because I want them to know that is important. I don't want them to be spoiled and think that what they have is what everybody has. And so I just think I you know, I wish I could say I had the magic trick. I think everyone, especially in the West and some other wealthy countries, like this thing about time management, having it all is tough. But I think if you're doing one thing plus church, can't forget about church, I think if you are helping at least one group, I think you should be more than proud. Or if somebody can call you at a drop of a dime, like some people do, like, do you mind talking to this boys and girls club? Yeah, I can do that. That's the least I could do, because so many people did that for me growing up. And to this day, it's actually one of those things that'll make me tear up. Like to this day, like I cannot, those are some of the fondest memories I have from childhood. I probably didn't answer that question well. Maybe my colleague can do better than me, but just make room.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mercy. Mr. Akrif, do you have something to say, or you want to add something, or we can move to the next question? Can you hear us, Mr. Akif? We can't hear you.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I can't say that I'm very successful on time management issue also. If anyone knows, let me know, because I'm not really good at it.
Mr. Akif, we lost you for some time. Can you repeat what you said?
Okay, can you hear me right now?
Now we can hear you.
I mean, I said that I'm not very good at the time management issue. So if anybody knows how to manage the time properly, please let me know. I would like to benefit from that. This is the we have everything to ease our things, you know. We have online meetings, we have, you know, the email, social media, we have technology, we have everything to, you know, content. But
Okay.
I don't know, it's really tough question. And
Thank, thank you
but
very
I'm
much.
lucky one. I am lucky one because I am single and I don't have a very busy work, so I have more, you know,
More time.
time
Yeah.
to do maybe. But I don't know exactly.
I think I want to add something. And also, when you find that it's too much, it's okay to take a step back. You know, we're all doing demanding work. Like, you know, you can't really operate from an empty, you know, empty tank or empty well. And so don't be afraid that, like, you know, I need a break. I'm going to really miss the league. I might not even stay sustainer. I might go back active in like a year. But it's okay to take a break as well, because you'll have even more to give if you do that.
Thank you very much, Miss Marcy. I think you are in the best position to advise us about time management, taking into consideration your military expertise and also the fact that you work with the State Department. Let's move on to the next question. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Yahya Dama from Burkina Faso. The time, please, Mr.
Okay, thank you very much. My question was to Miss, sorry, the name again. Oh,
Marcy.
Mrs. Marcy. Yes, thank you very much. So, Mrs. Marcy, thank you for sharing your stories with us. So, there is one point I would like you to come back on it. So, how did your volunteering activities positively affect your professional career?
Well, I think one of the things that I really like about, so it's all three have been really, really helpful. You know, I picked, you know, male dominated professions, not on purpose, but I did. So sometimes, especially when I first started my career, that was really, really hard. And so I'm not gonna lie, having my sorority sisters to cry, frankly. Sometimes when, you know, I had a really tough day at work, we used to have like weekly lunches downrange just to, you know, for the camaraderie and the sisterhood. And so that was really, really great. And obviously they've just been really great friends and mentors throughout my life and my career. So that's definitely in some ways kind of taking part, care of the spirit part that's really important for your career to flourish. And then definitely with the league, like they invest so much in our professional development, not just, you know, making sure, like when we talk about having a trained volunteer out, they are really serious about taking care of us, you know, making sure, do we know how to talking about unconscious bias, how to speak up for ourselves, just all those things, finding your voice. And so just doing a lot to really invest in us. And then, you know, my job is how I found Dreamwakers. Like, I don't know that I ever would have even heard of them had it not been for my day job. So I think, you know, it hasn't been directly related, because in some cases, especially when I did some of the harder work I did, like sexual assault prevention response, that's still some of what I do in my current job, but that used to be all I did. You know, I probably, you know, don't want to be at a shelter, only because, you know, it's just too much given what I do every day at work, emotionally. But it's definitely been a balance, and you do need something to do, especially when you're single. You know, you can't just work and then go home. You need a life, you need a social life. And so it, you know, I've made a lot of friends, like all my friends are my sorority sisters. And so I feel like that's been like the biggest benefit to my career.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marcy. We'll move on to the next question. We have lots of questions. I keep seeing them. They keep popping up. Let's move to Mr. Suraji Al Hassan from Ghana, please. You have the floor. We can't hear you.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Yeah, my question goes to Mr. Akif. Talking about the Green Crescent and the Red Cross, I want to know if it is an international organization and how you become a member of that. That is to Mr. Akif. And the next one to Mercy. What's the name? She is more into this gender equality and women empowerment. So I want to know if anybody around the world somewhere is also having such an organization or is into such a mission. Is there any way contacting her to support in any way, maybe international way, maybe bringing people from abroad to come and support in achieving such programs wherever the person is? So thank you. That is my question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Akif. Please go ahead before we give the floor to Ms. Marcy.
I
Thank you.
think it's a good question. Thank you for your question and interest. How I became a Red Crescent volunteer is, as I said, there was no any Red Crescent youth organization here in Turkey at the time, and I was a volunteer in another humanitarian relief organization, and I was also I can't say the manager, but I was working with the HQ, headquarters, in another humanitarian relief organization. And when the Red Crescent Youth announced that they will establish a youth organization, they invited us because we knew how volunteering is going, and we had some volunteering experiences. And they gathered us, and me and we as 14 friends established the Red Crescent Youth here in Turkey. So this is how I became a volunteer of this organization.
Hello, Mr. Akif.
Yeah.
Please, sorry to interrupt. I was asking whether it is an international organization which everybody is allowed around the world to join. So if it is possible, how do I go into it?
Okay. Sorry for for the misunderstanding. You may, the Red Cross and Red Crescent societies, you may find all over the world, and also you are from Ghana. I know the Ghana Red Cross is really powerful in your country as well. If you live in Accra, let's say, you may find the Accra branch of the Red Cross, and you may go and become a volunteer. You have to find your national society and its branch, and you may keep in touch with them. This is how it works. If you wish, I can share some connection with you, and I can, direct you.
Okay, I wish so.
Okay, just let me know after the session.
Okay, and how do I contact you personally?
Thank you very much. Ms. Marcy, you have the floor, please.
I'm not sure I completely understand the question either. I think just to clarify, the question is how for the NGOs that I work with, how to have chapters overseas, or is it about women's programs overseas?
My question is, you are into women's programs, for instance, gender equality, women empowerment, and all others. And if somebody is also into that around the world, let's say Ghana, for instance, which is my place, is there any way in collaborating with you there, maybe sending delegates or maybe supporting in any way you want, so that that person can also achieve something locally here?
I might have lost you at the end, but we, you know, both of my organizations, or at least two, like my sorority and Junior League, are international organizations. We definitely have, especially my sorority, we definitely have members that are from Africa, but I don't know if we have any chapters on the continent. But I could find out, like I could send an email to both headquarters to see what that process is like. As far as like women's programs, we do things like exchanges. So potentially, I know for like entrepreneurship and some of the other disciplines, we'll actually send over, I don't know how that will work now because of COVID-19. It'll probably be virtual like this. But what we usually do is just find organizations, sort of like, you know, what OIC Youth Forum did today, that could basically, you know, talk to you about our experiences, what we've been doing. And then I know we've even set up like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts overseas. So it's definitely been done. It's not unheard of for a lot of international organizations. So yeah, I think maybe follow up with me after this. I'm on LinkedIn, and I can leave my email for anyone who wants to reach out to me to talk about some of this stuff afterwards. I'll put it in the chat box now.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marcy. We'll move on to the next question. I'd like to give the floor to Brother Ahmed from Egypt. You have the floor, please.
Thank you for Mr. Akif and Ms. Marcy. My question for Ms. Marcy, or is query that I am working on the field of gender equality for women. That's in our organization called the Youth Leaders Foundation. We are working on a project called She Leads in Egypt, which empowering the girls, vocational girls, which the technical school girls with age of 15 or 16. My request from you that if we could host you in a closing ceremony, it was planned to be last month, but since the pandemic coronavirus, we delay the closing ceremony. So if we could host you as one of a professional woman in field of gender equality, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure if you accept this request. Thank you.
Okay, so I sent my email. Send me the invitation, and I'll see if me or maybe someone else in the office can do it.
Yeah,
if I can't. Okay, thank you. We actually hosted some Egyptian female leaders right before the pandemic. They actually had to leave early because of the pandemic. It was so sad. But hopefully we'll see them again. And I went to Egypt for the first time last year. That was really nice.
Thank you very much.
So we'll move on to the next question. I would like to call upon Sundus Yusuf from Afghanistan.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My question is, how do you keep yourself still motivated in volunteering after experiencing difficulties, racism, danger during volunteering? How do you keep the courage to continue doing good? Thank you. It's for both of the hosts.
Time and places for you. I think we'll start with the ladies. Ladies first.
You know, it's hard. We're definitely in a tough business. That's sometimes I say, you know, this is definitely not for it's, you know, and sometimes you have setbacks, but sometimes you get surprises. Like, you know, I know a couple of years we had some meetings with some leaders that didn't go as well as we thought it was going to go. But then we had some continuing engagements as follow-up. And so I think that's what kind of keeps me going. And I remember talking to some female leaders in the past year, because some of their colleagues had been murdered. And, you know, like, so why do you keep doing it? And they were like, because they felt like it'd be a betrayal to those women who gave their lives for this. And so I think, you know, sometimes, especially in my case, you know, people, you know, have it, you know, way worse than I do. And so I just feel like, you know, if you are in a position to give back and keep fighting, you have a platform, you owe it to, I feel like we owe it to people to continue to give back and make the world a better place. It's as simple as that. And each one person, you know, I love that quote about, you know, one person can actually affect change. Like if we all did one good thing, the world would be a much better place. And so I'm not going, you know, it's definitely been times where I've had to close my door, cried a little bit, teared up a little bit, but then I just kind of shake it off and keep going. And it's enough successes along the way, or like, you know, pearls of hope that like, okay, we're on the right track. It's rocky sometimes. It's gonna be, sometimes it's gonna be a bit of a fight. But you know, in some ways, I always say, did my military training prepare me for this? Because you know, I basically just took those skills and brought it to my diplomacy work and my volunteer work. And I do look, you know, I definitely probably do some lighter volunteer work just because I guess if you could say doing women and girls work is lighter work in my volunteer life, but just because just seeing their faces is also a reminder that we have to keep going and we have to keep doing this stuff, unless we're just never going to get where we need to be.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me answer that question like that. I tried to explain that during my presentation also. The harsh situations, the tough situations, the troubles, challenge, all those make us stronger, and it keeps our motivation higher. I mean, I have been to, you are from Afghanistan also. I have been to Afghanistan, as I said, and when I was in Afghanistan in 2018, the day that I arrived, 8 rockets fired. I mean, I have seen the chaos in the city. I mean, here also in Turkey, I have seen the bomb attacks we have faced with the military coup attempts. 290, 249 people killed in one night in my city. I have seen the challenge. We all have seen different challenges. And after all this witnessing, we can't go to the bed like normal. We have to work stronger. We have to work much better. We have to work busier than old days. I mean, this is I mean, the harsh situations makes our motivations higher. So this is what I believe. So this is not the thing that weak our motivation, but it keeps higher, I guess.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akib. Well, I'd like to give the next question to Mr. Donfak from Cameroon. You have the floor, please.
Greetings, and thank you for giving me the floor. And equally thanks for both presenters for the wonderful presentation. I have 2 questions on board. The first question goes to Mr. Mercy. I wish to know what pushes you to involve into volunteerism. I ask this question because despite the fact that you are too busy at the level of your work site, your job site, you still keep up with the spirit of volunteerism. I wish to know what is burning in you that makes you to be persistent in that field. Now, the second question goes to Mr. Akif. Mr. Akif, you said you were one of the founders of the Turkish Youth Red Cross, Red Crescent. I wish to know what instigated you to join the team. That is the founding team. What instigated? What was the spirit in you that pushed you to join? And secondly, I wish to know if you can share your contact number, that is your representative in Cameroon, so much that we look for further collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I couldn't get the end of the question, so can you repeat the
I
question?
said, okay, the end of the question is, I wish to know if you have a representative here in Cameroon. If yes, please, for the contact number, so much we go for a collaboration because we do work in that line.
You know, I understood that, but you know, the previous one. So
Okay,
you
the
asked
previous
about
one
the
was
Red Crescent Youth, and you said something, but I couldn't catch.
yes, I said you are one of the founders. You are one of the founders of the Red Crescent Youth in Turkey. I wish to know what instigated you, what triggered you to join the founding team, because you said they met you and you decided to join the team. I wish
Yes.
to know what pushed you to join. What actually?
Okay, thank you so much. I mean, as I said, I was working for another humanitarian relief organization, and the president of the Red Crescent invited some volunteers from different organizations, um, because you know he tried to find some volunteers which have different backgrounds and different experiences. So they invited us. You know, I didn't decide to participate the Red Crescent. I was already working for another humanitarian organization, but they invited us, and we said okay. So that is how I became a part of the Red Crescent, actually. For the second question, I may share the contact with you. We as a Turkish Red Crescent do not have any branch in Cameroon, but there is a Cameroon Red Cross in your country, and the president of the Cameroon Red Cross Youth Organization is my close friend. I may share his contact, and you may keep in touch with him.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the floor to Ms. Marcy. Thank you.
Hello. And I think it's a couple of things I want to say. Going back to the last question, because I was in I spent a tour in Afghanistan as well. You know, I think, you know, all of us, you know, are not in the safest neighborhoods. And so definitely, you know, be as safe as possible when executing your volunteer activities. But I think, you know, kind of parlaying or transitioning to this new question about why I do it anyway, because, you know, even some of the neighborhoods here in the US aren't necessarily the safest, but, you know, I think it's important, like I said before, for people, you know, of all races, religions, ethnicities, to see themselves and to see us coming back, even if I can afford to not live there anymore. And so I think it's really important for, you know, like I said, this is a two-way street. Like volunteering doesn't just help the people who need it the most. It's healing, and it does a lot for the person that's giving as well. And so, you know, I guess I have a need to give back. That's how I've been raised to give back. And we want to keep that going into, you know, until, you know, indefinitely, you know, into the future. We want that culture to expand of volunteerism in the world and in our country. And so I think that's what motivates me to do it, and to keep doing it, and to miss it when I'm not doing it. Even if, sometimes people say it's my day job, like, volunteering, I get paid, but, considering the kind of work a lot of people do this in the NGO world. So, but I think that's why I do it.
Miss Marcy, since you're still on board, I received some questions in my chat box. I would just like to read them to you. It's directed to you. The first question is, what is the current attitude of the US youth for volunteering after the outcome of COVID in the US? And the second one is, if you have any social media account in which you're active, could you kindly share it with the participants? And there's a third one that also came to your attention. What are the possible exchange programs for volunteers on site and online? Thank you so much.
So I'll probably have to go back to ECA and ask them about if we have any volunteer programs. So I will get that information, and then I'll email it to the organizers to share with the group after this. But I think, I think it's trending in the right direction in the US. Like the young people, every day on the news, they kind of try to do like something heartwarming, because I think everybody is tracking, the amount of cases we have in the world, and the our unfortunate death rate every day. And so like young people, like painting little rocks and putting notes, because a lot of us are hiking now, because it's one of the few places that we're still allowed to go. And giving people like little, nice, pretty things to look at and see as they're out and about. Probably if you don't, have a pet, that's the only time you're going out, if at all. And then, see people like in neighborhoods, like there have been people like working out in the front of their yards, like doing like a Zumba class or something like that. So I think young people and just Americans, as usual, rising to the occasion. Humanity is rising to the occasion. We're not the only ones doing our part to give back. And so it's just been really, really nice to see, especially, obviously, we've had some young people die and get sick from COVID, just like everyone else, but obviously they're not as affected. At least that's what the research is showing so far. So, but I think, like I'm always, anytime you're worried about the future, you see our young people out there speaking up, talking truth to power, talking truth to us about what they see and what they don't like. And so I think that makes us feel like the future is very, very bright.
Thank you so much. We have 5 minutes to wrap up the session, so I'll take the last 2 questions. Both of you will ask your question at the same time. So I would like to call upon Mr. Ibrahim and Nasra from Somalia. So Mr. Ibrahim, you have the stage is yours, from Algeria. Yes.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, on vous entend. We can hear you.
Yeah, so my question, I have actually 2 questions, are directed for both the 2 speakers, Ms. Marche and Mr. Akif. So my first question is about the obstacles that you have faced during maybe let's say at the beginning of your engagement in volunteering work. I mean, how you could deal with them, and I mean, how you overcome these obstacles. My second question is about achieving your goals from volunteering. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brahim. We'll take the last question from Mr. Nasra, and then we'll give the floor to our trainers.
Okay, thank you. My question goes to Miss Mercy. Yeah, my question goes to Miss Mercy. As we know, you are a senior advisor for girls and women, and here there are more girls from different countries, and they are all eager to do some amazing things in their countries and help their community as their role model already did. At the same time, there are challenges and limitations towards their goals. So, what is the best advice and encouragement you can give to us in order to continue our struggling? Thank you.
Anyone who wants to start? Mr. Akif, Miss Marcy? Oh, Mr. Akif, go ahead, then we'll give.
I waited for, because ladies first. But okay, I take the floor. I mean, regarding the obstacles, basically we can say that all young volunteers are facing with the financial obstacles. This is the certain thing all around the world. Also, we had some financial issue, but how we did overcome from this issue to promote ourselves, to introduce ourselves, and we wrote some projects, we applied for some funds, and we could able to find some funds for our youth institution, youth works. So this is the way how we overcome from the financial issues. Another thing, lack of the volunteers. At the beginning, we didn't have any kind of volunteers. We had a very collapsed organization, let's say, because even we didn't know who are our volunteers or not. We had, we found a strategy to organize our volunteers, and now all our issues, all our processes, all of these are going in a strategic way to organize. So this is the way to overcome from the obstacle, I guess, the good strategy and promote yourself properly. This is the two things that I can advise for the overcome the issues. I mean, in terms of the achieving goals, I mean, it depends on the your goals, because you may have some short-term goals, you may have a long-term goals. In the long term, we as humanitarian workers or humanitarian volunteers, our goal is eliminating human suffering and protect human dignity. I don't know how we can achieve that goal, but we are working. I mean, in Turkey, we call we responsible from we are not responsible from the achieving our goals. We are responsible for the working for it, working on it. So we are just working, and we will see what will happen.
Thank you very much. Miss Marcy, the floor is yours.
Hard questions. On the challenges front, it'd be disingenuous for me to say that, there are a lot of challenges to volunteering in the US, because they aren't, not in the same way that it is in some countries and some parts of the world. We do have a really big culture of giving back. I think if anything, the challenges sometimes just have to do with, especially if you're trying to get to those kind of hardest, those most vulnerable people. And I think there might be some commonalities there. Those aren't always in the safest neighborhoods, but overwhelmingly so for the most part. None of our volunteers maybe felt a little uncomfortable, but we've never been in danger, in all the years that I've been volunteering since I was a little girl. And so, and I think that has to be cultivated. And I think as that becomes more acceptable, especially, for, women and girls to be out there too giving back, because, we should be participating in fully in all social and public life activities, and volunteering is one of those. I think it'll become safer and better for everyone globally to be doing these kind of important, it's important work. It's important unpaid work that has to be done because we just can't pay for everything. As far as encouragement, I think I'm like my colleague too, like as far as goals, it depends on what your goals are. I don't know that, you know, I definitely have this really kind of goal-oriented mindset when I think about work. Not necessarily as much in my volunteer activities. But I think, you know, I think it's like, I hate to be redundant, but what encourages me is, you know, all the young people that I've helped, all the young people who have gone on to careers because of me. And so I think as long as I, you know, because we just got to help one person, right? And you have done so much. And so I think as long as I can keep helping people, in any way, you know, making time for them. They just graduated from college and, you know, they're worried about COVID-19 and their career prospects, and making time for people. Like people made time for me. I feel like that's enough for me, but it's different for every single person. And then just being a part of good organizations that are really thinking about the long-term goal. How do we get out there? How do we keep giving back in a way commensurate with, you know, our legacies, what some people might say. So I think that's what encourages me. And that's kind of how I approach the goal aspect of it.
Thank you.
Good,
Thank you very
good
much.
luck. Thank you for having me.
We came to the end of our session, but before you and Mr. Akif leave, just in one sentence, what is your message to our youth? What is your message to us? Just in one sentence, so that we can wrap up the session. You have the floor, Ms. Marcy, before I give to Mr. Akif.
One sentence. Keep at it. We need you. That's 2 sentences. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akif.
It's really a tough question, you know. I have only one sentence. I have to use it correctly. Thank you so much. We love you all and stay safe. I mean,
Inshallah. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We came to the end of our program. The organizers are writing to me that I have to wrap up the session. I would just like to say once again, on the behalf of the president of ICYF and the whole team of ICYF, they are extending their deepest gratitude to Ms. Marcy and Mr. Akif for, you know, giving their time, some of their time to speak to the youth of our regions. So we have a tradition at ICYF where we usually give a token of appreciation, but we are on a virtual platform today. So we just hope we're going to have you very soon here at Istanbul, Ms. Marcy. We're looking forward to that. The students really enjoyed your session, Mr. Akif and Ms. Marcy. I think even me, I was laughing the whole time. A little bit was much more energetic. We really appreciate what you did for us. All we can say now is may God protect us. May God help us overcome this difficult situation. And we have to keep striving for the best. And like Ms. Marcy said, even in her talk, one person can affect change in the world. And that is what I myself profoundly believe in. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next session. Try to take some rest, and we'll see you soon. If you guys want to say bye to our trainers, it's the moment. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Have a nice day.
See you later.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Allah Hafiz.
I love